us online, please tell us your name and where you're calling in from so we can have the great pleasure of welcoming you to the call.
Hey, Dover, this is Ron.
Hey, Ron, how you doing? Welcome.
Good.
Good.
Hey, Dover, James here, right?
Hi, James. Welcome to the call.
Yeah, thanks, Dover.
You're welcome. How you doing in your neck of the woods, buddy?
Well, it's all probably like you guys over there. It's all very interesting. What's happening with all the unvaccinated people privileges have been sort of pretty much hammered. Actually, just yesterday they released that if you walk into a restaurant unvaccinated, the employer can get fined $55,000.
Okay, hold on. I was multitasking. I was listening, but I didn't hear you. Did you say there's a fine of $55,000?
That's absurd.
Yeah. The employer can get fined now. They're making this mandatory that the employer can get fined $55,000 for serving unvaccinated customers. And this is where it's got to. It's just the stupidity of the government we're dealing with here.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. So welcome to the call. And my goodness, yeah, we could go on for quite a while about that one.
Yeah. Probably better to keep the call on a nice positive note, eh?
Yeah. So well, here's the positive. You're on the call. You're strengthening your immune system, so it doesn't matter what they're saying. And that's really what it's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. I really don't know what they're worried about. I mean, if everybody else is vaccinated and I walk in, I'm unvaccinated. What's the problem? What are you telling me that the vaccine doesn't work? Is that what you're telling me? I just don't get it.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make much
sense. They're still the experiment. That's what it is, I believe.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is Van and Veronica at Casa Grande, Arizona. Hello, everyone.
Hey, hello, Van. How you doing? Welcome.
Super. Thanks.
The big house, Arizona. I love it. Welcome, Casa Grande.
All Ronnie and Cheryl from Texas.
Ronnie and Cheryl, welcome. How are you?
Great, man. Good to be back.
Yeah, it does feel really good to be back, doesn't it? Welcome to the call. All right, so we're going to get this call started, and as we always do, we like to welcome each and every one of you to the Enriching Gifts Education Call. My name is Dover. I'm here in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle area, and this is like Ronnie said, we're back. Like we took a little summer off to recoup and let Ron take care of some. Listen to me. Ron had to take care of some priorities in his life, and so we get the great pleasure of being with our leader. And I say leader because I don't mind following someone. It just depends on where they're going before I follow them. And I followed this gentleman for over a decade, almost 2 decades now. He's been in my life and enriched my life in more ways than one. So we got the formulator, founder, and Mr. Everything with Enriching Gifts, Mr. Ron Schneider's online with us. And so, Ron, I want to say welcome you to the call and thank you for being here. It's our second call to start off the summer and going into the fall here. And so welcome, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, my acknowledgments to you for showing up every week. And it's been 15 years, Dover. In fact, this December 6th, December 6th, I'm sorry, December 2nd of 2006 is when you and I met.
Yeah.
December 2nd, 2006, Cancun, Mexico. Yep.
That's right, buddy.
Never forget it. But anyway.
Hey, Ron, and before you get going, I'd like to do something. So why don't you welcome everybody? And I want to start this call off with your permission on just showing the website in the beginning of the call, beginning of the recording for those that may watch it that are new, and then give them the opportunity to know how to navigate should they have come late to this call or maybe miss the call, and they can go on the website, etc.
Correct. And before we even go there, I do want to welcome everyone again. It's great to be back. And Dover mentioned we had a call last week. And we're not going to get into the COVID stuff. It is so disgusting. You all on this call know where I stand about it. And James, you know, man, we're same page. This thing has gotten so ridiculous, it's unreal. But we just had our call taken off of social media last week. The first time I've ever been cited for a violation of community policy. They don't want to hear the truth. This is all just censored crap. So I'm not going to put enriching gifts at much of a risk anymore by talking about COVID and all the just totally off the wall, ridiculous policies and stuff. And James, you said it right. What people don't know this, you're 27 times more protected with natural immunity without any form of a shot whatsoever. You're 27 times more protected from passing COVID to someone and getting COVID from someone through natural immunity without nothing about a vaccine. So that's all I'm going to say about that. That's a fact. And regardless of what social media wants to think about that or not, it's ridiculous. And to sit there and charge a business that's struggling already $55,000 as a penalty just for serving someone in your restaurant, this has just gone way beyond COVID. This is a huge social engineering program on a global scale. But that's all I'm going to say about this. As Dover said, I want to get back to the basics of what Enriching Gifts is as a company, what we stand for, and really why do we have these weekly conference calls. This is for a source where people can come to, talk directly to me and others, and get factual information to help them overcome their illness and disease challenges, and also help them understand the human body to where almost all diseases and illnesses are preventable. And if you are unlucky enough to get cancer or the common cold or flu, you already have a system within your own body that will help you overcome any and all disease and illness. It's happened since caveman days. It's happened for literally tens of thousands of years. And most people still don't understand that system called the human immune system. So that's what these calls are all about. They're educational. I don't want to get into the social media propaganda, conspiracy theory crap anymore. It's just so outrageously ridiculous. I think everybody with common sense thinking sees right through it. So that's all I wanted to say, Dover. Now we can go ahead and you got the floor. Go ahead and start, buddy.
Okay, and I appreciate that, Ron. And Ron, you know, he's speaking with a heavy heart here. Ron has done everything, and what I mean by that is compliance, right? Like Ron has protected this company like the baby and the loved one that it is, and nurtured it for decades. And so to fall, I wouldn't say victim, but to go into that lane and cross it. And what are we talking about? We did a call last week, and in that call, we had a recording out of it. And out of the recording, we posted it, and it wasn't made known into our attention until today, technically. But we had some individuals go to the website and say, well, hey, I'm not finding the recording. And so what I'm going to do is share that recording here with you here in a second, as well as show you how to access the recordings for those maybe that do not know or are new to this call or recording. And so this is what was sent out on after last week's recording. So we put this on the website. We uploaded it to a YouTube video, and this here is what you see. So bottom line is we talked about some things last week, and Ron shared some knowledge with us, and YouTube just disagreed. They said, you know what, this is medical misinformation, and you know what, Enriching Gifts, you're getting a little time out on YouTube, and so we're going to remove your video, and you can come back at a later time, 1 week to be exact, if you see it up here, because we're first time offenders. And so what we've done is in the chat, we've put the recording for those of you that want to listen, and here we are. And so that's that part of it. Last week, if you were not on, in fact, if you were not on, go listen to the call. It was a really good call. It was an amazing call. But we live in a world nowadays, as you heard at the start of the call with James down in Australia, and some of the ramifications for employers if you're not vaccinated, and just all the stuff going on in the world. Is not just specific to any one of us. This is a global type situation. So how do we access, for those of you maybe first timers or just need a refresher, how you access the recordings of these calls each and every week on the Enriching Gifts website is actually you go to the website, enriching-gifts.com. And then at the top of the website, you have this About Us tab. And when you click on the About Us tab, you scroll down to Last Call. And when you click Last Call, it gives you the last call. Technically, it's not the last call, and this is why I want to show everyone, because we did a call back in May before we started the summer break, and now we're picking up. So we know that we did a call last week, so there's one. So we're going to get that rectified. I did drop that in the chat. So if you go to the Zoom chat, you will find the call from last week, which would have been September 8th, 2021. And but for those of you that want to access any previous recordings, you go to the Enriching Gift site, click on About Us, Last Call. It takes you to this page here. Up in this right-hand corner, and I'll annotate that for everybody. Up in this right-hand corner, you'll see there's actually 55 recordings there, which is pretty consistent for last year, 52 weeks, right, in the year. And so we were into 2020 as well. But you click the drop-down box on that, and it gives you all of the recordings. And so starting with January of last year, 2021, it's actually this year, excuse me, Ron started a overview and a history on January 6th of the Enriching Gifts company and some of the background. So if you're unfamiliar with that, that's a great call. And what he did is he cycled through every single one of the Enriching Gifts product line. And in between that, due to the pandemic, due to COVID, due to what was going on, you'll hear some other information there as well. So again, what you want to do is you want to go to enriching-gifts.com, go to the About Us tab, select that. It's going to give you a drop-down menu, and you click Last Call. And that's where you access all of the recordings in the archive there for Enriching Gifts. So I wanted to share that, Ron, because we've been getting a lot of questions, and there's a lot of new folks online, and a lot of new people that will watch this.
Yep.
So we just want to empower them.
Right. And I got one more thing, Dover. For the people that don't have computers, like the Amish and Mennonite, things like that, is there a phone number or a way that they can access the conference call recording each week by phone, given an access number rather than having to go to a computer, which I know a lot of them don't have?
Let me answer it this way, Ron. I believe so for the recordings. I know they can access the conference call for sure, like the call we're on right now. But let me check into that, and then I'll follow up with you, and then I'll make an announcement next week for that one.
Yeah, so everybody that's on tonight, because I know I had a couple gentlemen call me just this evening about an hour and a half ago. Mr. Miller was one. Come on next week's call, and we'll hopefully have that information as well as phone numbers and access codes where you can actually just dial in from a phone and then go ahead and give a code number, I'm assuming, and then you should be able to hear the previously recorded call from the previous week. At least you'll be able to do that. So hopefully that'll work. So tune in next week, and we'll have that information for you next week available.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yep.
All right, Ron, I'm going to turn it back to you. I'm excited. And you said something, and I don't know if that was a prelude to where you're going, but why do you do these calls and what you've been doing for, 2 decades plus with these calls?
That's exactly where I was going.
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly where I'm going to go tonight. Get back to the basics, get back to who Enriching Gifts is, who Ron Schneider is, what I'm committed to. And most of all, I'm committed to everybody that shows up on these calls. First and foremost, between any political crap or agenda or vaccinate, anything else, I want to make sure that my integrity stays intact on why I started the company and why I started these conference calls. Because there's so much BS out there. Boy, we're seeing it on full display nowadays worldwide. But I want to make sure that we always have integrity first and foremost, and that we always are going to tell you the truth on these conference calls, regardless of what you're dealing with. And I've always said, and people just kind of look at me kind of funny, like, well, if it's bad, I don't want to know about it. Well, I got an education, a tremendous education, when I was down in Phoenix, but even way before that, 20 years before I moved down there, when I was still in high school, I've always had this tremendous interest in how the body is able to heal itself. And the immune system, once I got into enzymes, I discovered, wow, that's even more significant than anything else I had an interest in. Because without enzymes, both metabolic, digestive, and plant enzymes are what makes every single cell work. You hear about mitochondria, the energy of the cell. Well, I got news for you. There's a whole bunch of enzymes that create that energy that allows for the human cell to function in any capacity or form. And so of all the enzymes that I looked at in the human body, the human immune system is absolutely the most critical that you can have next to the digestive process. Because you can put the digestive process into motion, get all the nutrients extracted from a food source, and then it gets into the body through the bloodstream. But without an immune system that will protect you from all the things that are going to damage and destroy and infect and deteriorate the human body, cellular functioning is worthless. It's very, very limited in its capacity, and it's not very long. I mean, literally days, not months and years, days. If you're not being protected properly, just a matter of days before the cells are so damaged they can't even carry out functionality in a normal basis. So that's what I want to get back to tonight, is inviting people on these calls that have health issues, that have disease and illness issues, that are on drugs. Who says that I'm qualified to talk about drugs? Well, what a lot of people don't know about, and I know a lot of people do know about it, because I've talked about my education before. I spent 10 years when I lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, in the early, actually from 1984 all the way to 2001. I was going back and forth, but I officially moved back to Montana in 1996. So there was 12 years, and out of 12 years that I spent on a consistent, daily, regular basis in Scottsdale, Arizona, 10 years of those 12 years, I was going to the medical library over at ASU because I worked at nights, and I'd go over there during the daytime and study. Most people would go home, go to sleep. Well, unfortunately, you couldn't get into, they have a public medical library. And this is at Arizona State University campus. This is where all medical doctors get their degrees and stuff from. But that library that all those med students study at is public after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'd go over there every day, and I'd be there by 2 o'clock, and I didn't have to go to work until 11, and I'd go directly from there right to work. I'd leave at 10 o'clock when they closed the library, and I'd go straight to work from there. And then I'd go home, get home about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'd wake up and I'd head to the library by 1:30 in the afternoon. And I did this 6 days a week for 10 years straight. And what did I learn in there? Everything a med student would learn. You learn how drugs work. You learn the different brands of drugs, what they chelate with, what's the nutrient that they bind to their chemical synthetic additive that allows them to patent their products and all that stuff. You really learn how medicine works, not just the drugs and not just the disease and the pathways of the disease and how it affects the body and some of the symptomology processes, but you really learn the entire thing if you really get in there and study your butt off. And so that's what I did for 10 years. And I'm very proud. I'm self-taught. I didn't need some professor yakking at my ear, brainwashing me to think a certain way. No, I just took the text, and I'm very smart. I have a near genius IQ. My IQ is 178. If anybody wants to look that up or doesn't know about the IQ. And that's the way I learned. So I'm just here, and then I've traveled all over the entire world, been in every single country but 6. And I have always worked with the Ministry of Health or the presidential leadership of a country in the healthcare realm. And so I just want to bring all of this knowledge together on these phone calls each and every week, There's a tremendous amount of knowledge and access here. And like I said, sometimes the truth hurts, sometimes it's painful, especially if you're a person dealing with fourth and final stage colon cancer or brain cancer or something like that. You're always going to hear me tell you the truth. I'm not going to ever BS or mislead anybody. But you should never have to get to that point. And I guess for me, that's the most discouraging part of my life, is that I haven't gotten out to the millions and millions and millions and masses of people yet. They are finding out about us. Boy, I'll tell you what, Enriching Gifts, with this pandemic and struggle getting the products in and stuff, but we are growing like crazy as a company. I'm talking to new people literally every single day, calling, asking up about this product, that product. How long have I been in business? What makes us so different? And I've been over all of that with everybody on these calls, so I'm not going to go there anymore tonight. But in the weeks to come, this is a live interactive call. So if you're new on the call, you came here for a reason. Ask. Don't be shy. You don't have to give your name. You don't have to say where you're from. You don't even have to really tell me much about anything other than what do you want to find out? Ask me about a drug, ask me about a disease, an illness, and I'll help you as best as I can. And I'm going to give you all the information that I have, not just bits and pieces where I think that might be what you want to hear, or that might be what you think you're going to benefit from. Nope, we're going to start from start to finish and tear it all apart, tell you how it affects you, how you got it, what's the biggest problems that you're dealing with, and now let's get you to figure out a way to get out of it, and you can get back to a healthy life and living. So that's what we're here for. So I really just don't have an agenda for tonight's call. Like I said, Dover and I and Roderick, we just talked about this whole Facebook and social media post and them banning me for what I said last week. But I definitely wanted to start over, start fresh, and remind everybody that's why these calls are here each and every week. So you've got my opinions about COVID-19. Personally, I've never had a vaccine in my entire life, not even to enter a country. I've always gotten waivers by the Ministry of Health or the presidential leader or some political leader in that country in order to access and get into that country. It's not that I don't believe in vaccines. Vaccines, in theory, should work. And they've time and time proven again that they are effective, but they're with risk. And don't ever let anybody tell you, oh, it's just a vaccine. And the one thing that just irritated my butt about COVID, oh, well, you know, they're just vaccinating all these kids now. The benefits far outweigh the risks. Well, tell that to a teenager that's just literally died within 24, 48 hours after having a shot. Or just like Ryan Cole last week, one of his colleagues died within 48 hours after getting a shot. These are facts. This actually happened. Whether people want to talk about it or not, that's something else. But these are facts. Now go ahead and prove that they didn't die or they did die from the shot. Well, that's a whole nother topic. But vaccines have always had risks. And here's one. You can go to the Center for Disease Control, the Institutes of Health. If you look deep and hard enough, you'll find this information. Dr. Murray, who used to be a Fox News contributor every single Sunday, she just disclosed all of this stuff probably about 8 years ago. She was the main voice out there talking about her and Dr. Bernie Siegel on Fox News all the time. And they talk about how many deaths occur every single year in America from the common cold and flu, the annual flu, and how that mutates because of vaccinations. So the next year's strain of the common cold or flu is different. And that's why they're usually about 2 years behind on getting an effective vaccine to prevent all of these deaths and even the cold and flu. If you're getting a cold and flu shot this year, it's usually from something about 2 years back. That's the normal rate. And almost half of the people that die each year, on average, 46 to 48,000 people is an average now every year that die in America because of the cold and flu. But about almost 40% of those deaths occur within 24 to 48 hours after receiving a flu shot. So there's risks inherited with any vaccination. Forget COVID-19, any vaccination. Same way with the shingles shot. Oh, well, you should go in and get a shingles vaccination. There's been a lot of people. My brother was personally one of them. So now I'm speaking from personal experience. He went in and got a shingles shot. And within 48 hours, his whole right side of his rib cage from his armpit all the way down to his hip was completely blistered. Now, don't tell me that that was all of a sudden shingles, and it just happened to coincidentally be within 48 hours of him getting the shingles shot as for a senior. No, these things, the way that they are produced, and I think this is the bigger context of the story, why I do not and will never, ever have a vaccination of any kind, because they're made in other countries. Look at how fast they just rushed this through 1 year. And all you heard about was, wow, this is unreal. It normally takes 5 to 7 years. Well, that should have been the first big red flag. Yeah, we had this virus release that we thought was going to destroy the world. So we had to hurry everything. But nobody's doing the midterm and long-term effects of this shot. And we see there's plenty of evidence now that even in the short term, within 48 hours or a week or two, there's severe complications that arise. And I don't want to be that 1 or 2% or even 1/10 of 1%. I don't want to be that guy that dies or has neurological damage permanent for the rest of his life or whatever else is going to occur. I shouldn't be forced to take that chance. And I've always had common colds, flus when I was younger. I was sick all the time. In fact, everybody thought I was almost retarded by the time I got into the 4th grade, because I was literally almost 11 years old or 12. I mean, I was 2 years behind everybody. I started the school late. I flunked 1st grade because I was sick so much. I lost so much school that they couldn't pass me. So here I am starting school at 7. I'm still a 1st grader at 8 and almost 9 years old before I even got into the 2nd grade. They almost flunked me twice because I was just sick all the time. Hong Kong flu, swine flu, this flu, that flu. Tonsillitis, bronchitis. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And like I said, I was never, ever a dumb kid. I just never got a break from all this illness and stuff. And the minute I had my tonsils out, my whole life changed. And then when I got into high school and really got educated about the human body and thought about going on to college after high school in sports medicine and physical therapy rehab, that's when I really discovered the human body. That's when I discovered how to prevent all of this stuff. And you can't do it with products. Let me say that again. You're not going to be able to prevent anything with products. Your body functions from nutrition. So if you want to talk about products, talk about the nutrition that's inside of those capsules, tablets, bottles, powders, whatever it might be, because that's what gives the body the ability to carry out cellular functioning is nutrients. And there's very specific nutrients that activate each and every single enzyme that's found in the human body. In fact, one nutrient, one enzyme. That's the way your body works. And that's why your body has so many different enzymes, because there's over 432 different cellular biochemical functions with enzymes that use calcium as their activating nutrient. So there's over 432 enzymes that just activate with calcium alone. And then that applies to every single enzyme in the human body. One nutrient, one enzyme. And so you got to have a really well-rounded diet. And that's going to bring me up to my next subject, which is, well, if you got this great thing called an immune system, then why do I have an illness? Why do I have a cold? Why do I have cancer? Well, how did I get this? How did I get that? Because as you grow, every year you live your life, your body produces a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less digestive enzymes for the digestion of your daily meals. In fact, you literally lose about 8 to 10% of your digestive enzyme production output every decade or every 10 years you live your life from the minute you're born. And when you go through that big rush of growth, usually from 12 to 18 years old, where you're growing literally 2 to 3 inches every single year, or even every single summer, like I did for 2 summers, that really takes a toll on your body. And if you think about Go back to when you were a little kid, that teenage years, those hormones running crazy, you're growing big, you're getting muscular, you're really, really active. Think about all the food that you consumed. And I know a lot of you heard this. Man, my mom was always looking at me kind of funny about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon after I'd had about 3 or 4 meals. Because I used to be 6'2", and I was in the 6th grade, and I was only about 135 pounds. Just nothing but a walking, talking, tall skeleton. Oh my gosh, what do you got, a hollow leg in there? You're going to eat me out of house and home. You better hurry up and go get a job. Oh my gosh, you gotta make an army's worth of food to feed you. I mean, I heard so much stuff about so much that I ate, and I did eat, because I ran a lot. I was working all the time. I was very, very active as a young teenager and a young kid, even a young adult. And that is what draws down your body's ability to protect yourself. That is what eventually, at some point in time in your life, given your genetics and your daily diet and stress levels, is going to cause your immune system become inefficient at its ability to protect you from things that you're coming in contact with, things that you're consuming, or even things that are chemically put into your foods in your daily diet and even your workplace. So that's when your immune system becomes compromised, when your body starts to lose enough enzymes to where it can no longer digest completely the meal you consume. And that usually starts at around 22, 23 years old. And by the time you're 38 to 42, your body produces less than 50% of the digestive enzymes it did age 12 to 15. 50% or more less. So imagine what all this meat flesh that everybody's consuming, getting in the bloodstream, clogging up your immune system receptors. They can't come in contact with anything, fungus, bacteria, mold, or any other organism. They can't even get to the sticky, undigested proteins in the blood. Your neutrophils have to do that. T lymphocytes can't identify and destroy cancer cells because there's so much protein masking all of this obstruction that the T lymphocyte cell would use to identify cancerous cells. Nope, that's all masked over with heavy caked up undigested protein, or incompletely digested is the proper word. Yeah, there's no mystery to this anymore. And that's why I really enjoy doing these calls, so we can help people understand how their body works, how disease and illness actually works. And you might have genetic inherited weaknesses, but everybody has an immune system. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got past your first 3 months of life. And so that's what I want to talk about on these calls always. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And I know that we have some new people on here, so I'd like to just open up the call, Dover, and just see if anybody has any illness or disease issues that they want to talk about: Lyme disease, heart attacks, cancer, whatever. And I guess that's my spiel for tonight so far. Can we go into live conferencing, Dover? Hello? I can't hear anybody.
We can hear you. I think we just lost Dover there for a sec.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I'll jump in here if nobody wants to say anything right now. Ron, real quickly.
Yeah,
I just wanted to talk about one of the silent killers, you can call them. And I really haven't had too much information or stuff that I've seeked out here, and couldn't find much on about how dangerous fungus actually is and how fast fungus grows within the body. And, and I know you don't want to talk about the shots and all this kind of stuff, but regardless of that side, I just kind of wanted to talk about, what's the best way. And I know we have the probiotics, but if you can just talk about fungus within the body and how it can really take over.
Yeah, absolutely. Fungus evolves into mold too, in case a lot of people don't know that. That's one of the mutations. They talk about the viruses mutating. Fungus can actually evolve into toxic mold in the human body if it's left in there long enough. And fungus is fed by sugar, high carbohydrates. That's really what keeps fungus around. It's what gives you that big itch in your groin when you're eating a lot of syrup, a lot of candy, a lot of sugary stuff. and that's what feeds fungus. Fungus is not a bacteria. Fungus is fungus. It's a different organism. So one of the things you really want to do is to cut down on your sugars if you have fungus, like candida and things like that, because that's just fuel for the fire. And then probiotics. There's bacterial enzymes within probiotic strains that will actually destroy fungus. And Sanj, I'm glad you brought this up, because now a lot of doctors, and this has been around hanging out there now for almost 10 years, a good 8 years anyway, that fungus is actually part of the problem that destroys DNA, creating a cancerous cell, a DNA damaged cell. Now they're thinking that fungus is one of the major causes of a lot of different cancers. And it's not just the papillomavirus in young teenagers and stuff. It's several different forms of cancer that they think fungus is the driving force behind creating the cancer itself. Wow. Because of the way fungus interacts and can damage the human body. Yeah. So, but enzymes, they'll help to eat up the protein, because again, fungus, it is an enzymatically live organism, but it's an anaerobic organism, which means it thrives in lower oxygenation, and it has to have the sugar source in order to stick around. And it has to have the moisture as well if it's on the outside surface of your skin, like your arm or your groin areas or your armpit or something like that. And it has to have that moisture. So talcum baby powder, and be careful what kind of talcum baby powder you get, because again, Johnson & Johnson had this big, huge lawsuit about talcum baby powder because of some of the ingredients they used in there that actually caused cancer, ovarian cancer particularly. And that's been about a decade ago now. So, but anything that you can do to dry out excess moisture on your skin and your personal areas, that always helps. But the enzymes, when you take the digestive enzymes, not only are you going to get full digestion of your meal, but you're also going to get additional enzymes that are still active in the bloodstream, where they can actually go after some of these organisms that aren't what we refer to as living metabolic cells. Now, let me be really clear and specific about this, because a living metabolic cell, a cell that carries out a life-functioning process within the human body, like all the different cells that make up the heart muscle, for example. All the enzymes that run those are called metabolic enzymes. All the enzymes that run any cellular functioning activity in the human body are called metabolic enzymes. So not only when you take the digestive enzymes, and by the way, all metabolic cells, that's the internal human body that functions cellularly, all metabolic cells actually have an enzyme inhibiting protein marker on their membrane. That's what prevents the immune system from digesting normal, healthy cells every day, because you have this enzyme inhibiting protein marker on its membrane. Well, fungus doesn't have that inhibiting protein marker. Neither does bacteria, neither do viruses, because they're not an enzymatic metabolic functioning cell. They're not part of the human body. So all foreign organisms that come into the bloodstream or enter the human body, even on a cellular level, they can easily be destroyed by the immune system cells, either neutrophil, eosinophil, lymphocyte, leukocyte. But a T helper killer cell will actually dissolve an infected human cell, because that's the only cell that makes up the immune system once it detects a virus deep within bone tissue, for example. The virus will actually destroy the bone tissue with the virus in it, in that cell. And only your T lymphocyte killer cells can do that. So they're a very, very unique specialized cell within the overall immune system itself. But they have the ability, as long as there's no protein covering up or masking the cell, so it can identify there's a virus or there's a negative anaerobic organism there, or there's DNA damage within the cell's functioning process. That can actually be determined by your immune system T lymphocytes as well, because it gives off abnormal waste through its receptors. So there's this wonderful system called the human immune system. It's made of many, many different cells. But we already have everything we need to live a perfectly healthy, great quality life from birth to death, no matter how many decades or even a century or more that might be. We already have this in each and every one of us. And there's certain things that become weak. If you become dehydrated, you're not drinking enough water. That's one of the main causes of inflammation. Inflammation slows blood. Inflammation slows all cells, immune system cells or otherwise, even metabolic organ tissue cells. Everything slows down when you're dehydrated. I don't sell a fancy water. Just make sure you drink plenty of fluids, half your body weight in ounces of water every single day. That's the minimum requirement for proper cellular metabolic functioning hydration. So that's that. And like I said, we've got probiotics. We have the bacterial strains that will go right after fungus, bacteria like limes. These enzymes, anything, and that's the other thing. The digestive enzymes, they're never ever going to harm a human cell because those cells have enzyme inhibiting protein markers. That prevents any enzyme from digesting your body, even in the embryo in a pregnant woman. So many people are so worried about taking a digestive enzyme. Oh, maybe it'll digest my fetus or my embryo. No, it won't. All healthy cells have enzyme inhibiting protein markers, which prevents any enzyme that's not part of the actual cell, the metabolic enzyme within the cell that carries out the functioning of the cell, prevents any enzyme from breaking it down. And when you cook foods, well, you destroyed all the active enzymes in there. So it's real easy for your body, or should be easy for your body, or even my digestive enzymes to digest that meal because it's all been cooked and processed and it's dead. There's not even any living enzymes in the plant that actually grew the plant source. So hopefully everybody understood that. And if not, listen to this call again and again until it gets clear in your mind. But the bottom line is, these digestive enzymes are very, very safe. They do more things in your human body than I could even think of. And literally somebody used to ask me all the time, if I'm on a restricted budget. So of all your stuff, if I could just take one product, what would it be? What would give me my most bang for my buck? And I said, digestive enzyme, hands down, because everybody eats nutrition in a diet, but more people over the age of 30 don't get much nutrition out of that diet. And I don't care whether it's McDonald's, whether it's Wendy's, whether it's Burger King, or whether it's a fresh organic Whole Foods at their salad buffet and stuff. I don't care what quality it is. It has to be digested. And you can take the most organic, the most expensive, the most high-end diet, and it'll still be cancerous. It will still be toxicity to your body if it's left in there long enough because it's not broken down and digested to where your cells can either use it and process, use the nutrition to carry out the process of the cellular functioning, or it's just going to become toxic junk over a period of about 8 to 10 hours, and definitely within 24 hours. Anything left in the body that's from a nutrition source is already rotted. It's already feeding other bacteria. It's already evolving. It's already creating anaerobic organisms from its own presence. Much like beef, if you leave it long enough in a warm enough environment, you open up the jar and all you'll see is maggots crawling around. Because that was actually in the flesh that they ate. It was just in an egg form or something like that. So, I'm glad you brought fungus up. That's hardly ever talked about. But again, probiotics and enzymes, they actually help. But the biggest thing is take the enzymes to keep your bloodstream clean. Make sure that everything you consume is fully digested to where your body doesn't have to deal with one more thing when it's already stressed and struggling to deal with the stuff that it already has to deal with. Right. With the natural functioning of the immunity processes. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Just one last thing I wanted to touch on is, ivermectin. So it's a big craze right now. What are your thoughts on that in terms of I don't know if you want to go into that or not, but you must have some sort of thoughts on it.
Yeah, I do. And like I said, I learned a long time ago, my mom always said, something nice to say, just don't say anything at all. All right. Let everybody else figure it out for themselves. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave that. I just don't have a whole lot positive to say about it. Okay. And like anything, there's a very, very small percentage of people that it might benefit, but for the majority of people, I think they're just heading down a street and an avenue that's going to give them way more problems in the long term than the short term realized benefits.
Okay.
And I would say the same thing about the keto diet. I talked to my daughter about that, and now she just loves to run. She used to run in marathons. Her and her husband both. They've been competitive marathon runners for years now, and now she really having a problem with her joints and stuff. And I said, well, remember back when I told you the keto diet? What's the first thing that's going to be affected? Your joint. Well, you didn't believe me, and I said that diet will put you in a wheelchair one day, and you'll be a whole lot less years than what you think. And that's now she's learning firsthand some of the negatives from that personal experience. And people, they think I'm crazy. And, you got to remember, everybody, I've been doing this for over 45 years of my life. I started this when I'm 20. I'm 65. This is nothing new to me. And it's been my life's passion for at least the last 30 years. So, but I'll just leave it at that. Enough said.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else on the call? Got any questions, comments for the call? Anybody?
Hi, Ron. This is Cheryl. How are you?
I'm doing good, about as good as I can under all these circumstances. I mean, I'm out of product everywhere, but we'll be getting it in here pretty quick.
Well, and we're looking forward to getting stocked back up. And it's great to be back together and hearing you again. I wanted to ask you a little bit about hair loss. And that question kind of came up after the last gentleman asked about fungus. Can hair, I don't know what all you're going to want to know from me, but I'm 56 years old and I've had a significant amount of hair loss lately. I know some of it's hormonal and that sort of thing. And
I was just going to say, let's slow down. You just hit the magic number, 55, 56. Now we're going through that menopause change of life. And that is a very common side effect. I'm sorry to say that, Cheryl, but it is. It's a very common side effect during that transitionary period through menopause, from start all the way through finish, and then even a couple of years beyond that, until your hormones just really get completely set. After they go through that change, you're going to experience hair texture as well as hair loss changes.
Okay.
And unfortunately, there's really not a whole lot you're going to do about that. There are supplements like biotin. I would really encourage anybody that's having hair loss problems, take a lot of biotin. And biotin, you don't use a whole lot of milligrams each and every day, but it's critical to bone health and it's critical to hair. And same thing with choline. Choline is a hair follicle nutrient. Boron is another one. These are all in our Complete Vitamin Plus product. And you shouldn't need anything extra other than what's in there. Do you use the vitamins on a regular basis? Enriching Gifts vitamins?
Yes, I do. We actually take every single one of the products. So,
okay,
I was just wondering if you thought maybe I needed to add a little extra of something.
No,
temporarily.
Nope. Unfortunately, I'm just going to give you, like I said, I'm just going to be honest with you as I can. You're just going to experience some of those unpleasantries of getting older, or these golden years that we're all supposed to look forward to. I mean, I'm about ready to tear my head off and scream at the wall half the time. I hate these golden years. Can't run around. I can't do marathons anymore. I can't do a lot of stuff I used to do. And just because of my nerve damage in my feet. But that's a whole nother story for another day. But anyways.
Well, and then I've also had a hysterectomy because I am
and that didn't help
cervical
either.
cancer survivor. So yeah, and I'm sure that was a big part of it too.
Well, again, that is part of it, because you might have adjusted because you were younger. You had a lot of metabolic activity to adjust with, even though you took out a lot of different hormones when you had that hysterectomy. But that hysterectomy is really going to compound itself, and you're going to really see the potential damage that did at a younger age once you go through and get on the other side of that menopausal cycle. Because now your whole body changes again. The hysterectomy already created a big shift and change whenever that occurred, 10, 15, 20 years ago, whatever. But now, given that, now you got to go through that whole change again, but you don't even have all the hormones to go through that change of menopause again. You only have partial. So you'd think it would be easier, but actually, no, it's for a lot of people, it's much, much more difficult.
Well, that could also explain why I feel like my skin has changed so much in the last probably 6 to 8 months too.
Yep. Well, that's another known factor of menopause. For women, their vaginal area dries out. They get really dehydrated. So I said hydration is so important, especially after the age of 35, 40. Because that's when your digestion goes down, your hydration has to go up. Because here we are, we're struggling to produce enzymes. We've got all of our immune system now engaged in trying to get rid of the incompletely digested proteins and different nutrients from our diet because our body can't produce enough digestive enzymes. Because now you're engaging the neutrophils, the eosinophils, basophils, lymphocytes, leukocytes, T cells, B cells, all the other cells that make up the immune system and circulate in the blood. All that incompletely junk that's just circulating around the bloodstream. Now, the only thing left to get rid of that now is the immune system, because that's all there is circulating in the blood. Digestive enzymes usually don't get into the blood because they're acid limited. The blood is never acid, ever. So even if they did get into the blood as they came through the GI tract, like the nutrients, they would never activate in the alkalinity of the bloodstream anyway. So at that point, they're just simple proteins that the immune system usually digests and get rid of anyway. So, yeah, I know I'm not painting a real pretty picture here for you, but I'm just being honest. I mean, there's just some things about this golden year crap that we got to accept, like it or not.
Right. I like to call them the wisdom year.
Well, at least you can kind of understand you're losing your noodle, and it's just something that we're going to have to accept for a while.
Exactly.
And I think, honestly, you're going to see a big change in your texture, your dryness of your skin, all that kind of stuff. Once you're actually past menopause, about 5 years, then your body's not so wild and wound up, and it has finally stabilized itself. And that's the beautiful thing about the human body. It has a tremendous ability to adapt to whatever is going on with it. Whatever it loses, it'll find a way to almost compensate for what it loses, almost. And it really stresses hard to try to do and find that as we go through the whole life cycle. But we can sure make it a lot easier. And a lot of this stuff, I say, is just needless deterioration, needless sickness, needless suffering, and going through every day of a poor quality of life. It's all needless, you know.
Yes, I have changed my diet and, just really changed a lot of things since you've been in our lives, which has been about 10 years now. So I attribute a lot of the health that I do have today to listening to you and, just trusting in everything that you have learned and are willing to pass on. And I thank you for that.
You're very welcome. I appreciate that as well. Yeah. And like I said, my life, the only thing that I have going on in my life that's a negative, but it's a huge negative, is I can barely walk because of my nerve damage because of the burns on the bottom of my feet 2 years ago. That has really made me angry about life because I just used to just really enjoy it. I could go out and run. I was very athletic my whole entire life. Loved fishing, elk hunting, climbing, being out in the woods and wilderness. Loved traveling with my wife and stuff. And I can't do much of any of that anymore. But I never get sick. That's the blessing. I keep reminding myself when I'm having these days when I want to get on my pity pot and oh, poor me crap. And those days are far and few between, thank God. It was hard getting to the point of accepting where I'm at today. But the one blessing I have I don't have cancer. I don't have sickness. I don't have illness. I don't have this. I don't have that. I did have COVID last July for about 2 weeks, and it was a miserable 2 weeks, but I survived. I wasn't hospitalized. I didn't even have really that bad of a time with it, other than the headaches and then the severe fatigue and tiredness for about 5 days. It got me down, but, didn't get me in any kind of major trouble. And that's because I have such a great immune system because of the Enriching Gift product line. So I'm just thankful for that. Now I have natural immunity, which I know, and you can listen to the news all over the place. You don't have to hear me say it. You have 27 times better immunity against COVID than any vaccine on the market today. 27 times. So people are jumping up and down about people being unvaccinated. What about the people that have natural immunity? Nobody wants to even talk a peep about that. And that's about 85 or 80% of all the unvaccinated people nowadays. They've already gone through the COVID thing. They've already got the hospital records before the shot was even around. So, yeah, it's just one of those frustrating things as well. But like I said, the grace and beautiful thing that I have to always remember and realize in my life is, I am always healthy. With the exception of my feet, I am one heck of a healthy person. I got a great mind, great memory, and I've got a great quality of life, with the exception of really have a hard time walking.
And you're making a difference in a lot of you're making a difference in a lot of other people's lives too. So we thank you.
Yeah, and I always remind myself of that. Why am I here? Am I here for me? No. Nobody's going to live a great, joyous life if they just show up every day just thinking of themselves. That's called selfish. That's never going to give anybody a great, wonderful experience of life. So I do try to show up each and every day for all of you guys, and I thank you for the acknowledgement. But that's my life goal, and I always got to remind myself of that. I've still got this wonderful, crisp mind to share with the world, and I pray to God I'll have that for the next 30, 40 years until the day I die.
So are we still looking at the product being in next month?
I will update everybody. I hate to even say next month. I mean, I'm very hopeful. I can't foresee any problems. I mean, we pushed this thing back July, August, September. Now we're in October. Boy, I mean, if I can't get people to get their crap together, I'm going to go do my own manufacturing. Personally, myself, I'll fly out there and start doing my own products. Forget about a crew. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I'm pretty confident we'll have most of them in October.
That sounds wonderful. Okay, well, thank you very much, Ron.
Yeah, and I appreciate everybody's patience. I mean, everybody's been so nice, and I can understand the few people that have been so extremely frustrated and everything. Nobody's more frustrated than I am, because, like I said, it's not a money problem. If I could just throw money at it, it would have been gone and taken care of months ago. But I'm not the only person experiencing this, and we have had a few calls of some really upset people. But it's out of my control. I mean, there's absolutely nothing I or anybody else can do about it. And it seems like whatever we are trying to do, we just meet a brick wall at every time we turn around. You can't go across the border into Canada and pick up product and come back unless you're vaccinated. You have to have a vaccination card. And right now, even people from America, all non-essential travel, like tourist travel, isn't even allowed into Canada. Canada can come to America, go down to Arizona, the snowbirds in California and Florida and all that. They're free to come and go, but only essential travel comes from America into Canada right now. And so their borders are still mostly closed. Truck drivers is considered non-essential in the country of Canada. So, and Canada's not the only country that we get product out of. I get it out of Japan. Japan is still locked down, even after the Olympics. The Summer Olympics are over. In Japan, the country is still locked down. They have restrictive flights. COVID vaccines don't even seem to make much of a difference. That's not even an issue over there. They have their ups and their upticks in COVID and downs, and everybody over in Europe, France, Italy, Germany, Denmark, all of them. It's almost impossible to get anything out of there. And it's not just my supplements. I mean, you look at the automobile dealerships, go down to your local dealership, you'll find about 80%, 90% less vehicles sitting on a lot. We got 2 dealerships right here in my hometown of Miles City, empty. They'll give me more money for my 6-year-old Jeep than a full sticker price I paid for it 6 years ago. They'll pay you more money than what you paid for it 6 years ago just to get a car on the lot to sell. That's how crazy it is. And I was telling Dover and Roderick, people, I understand they're frustrated, but don't take it out on me too bad. All you got to do is go to your local restaurants. People are shutting down the restaurants because they can't hire anybody. Our local McDonald's in Miles City, Montana is open from 8 a.m. until 7. There is no drive-through from 10 o'clock or midnight. There is no breakfast from 5 a.m. till 8 or 9, whatever it was. No, and the 2 owners and their daughters working inside of there just to keep the doors open. And there's a Domino's Pizza. They don't do delivery anymore. It's online pickup only. And so you got to go pick it up, and you got to do all the masks and this and that, and they're only open from noon until 6, I believe, and they were open up until midnight. Especially on a Friday, Saturday night, you can go in there at midnight and still pick up a pizza, or at least 10 o'clock. But no, there's really short hours on everybody. So everybody, every industry, cars, restaurants, supplements, computers, there's just shortages everywhere. The supply chain worldwide is just really messed up. So I'm not the only one with the problem, I guess, but it is still very, very frustrating. I know, and I can feel everybody's frustration, and nobody is more frustrated with this than I am, because how many people are going to go through COVID and get sick, possibly even die, when I know there's stuff here that we could actually help strengthen that immune system to where they wouldn't be affected by anything. Forget COVID, anything, common cold, flu, cancers, whatever. We know the immune system can cure and prevent any and all disease and illness. There's no doctor, nobody in the entire world that can argue with that statement, because that's what's kept mankind growing since caveman days. That's the only thing that stood between extinction of the human being and where we are today since our existence. So let's take care of the immune system. Do all the things we need to do to keep that bloodstream clean and the immune system highly efficient and functioning. That's what I'm here to talk about and help people with. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Anybody else got a question, comment? Anybody?
Yeah, Ron, Van here. I got a friend who's got stage 1 cancer. Recommendation for her.
Okay, what kind of cancer?
A breast cancer.
And what stage is it?
Stage 1.
Stage 1.
Yes, sir.
Does she know specifically what kind of breast cancer it is? Because there's varying types of breast cancer. Some of them are more aggressive, and some of them have a very low survival rate.
She didn't say.
Oh,
I'll ask.
Well, the bottom line is, here again, I don't want to get pigeonholed into a conversation about breast cancer. We're going to go right back to the immune system. What did I just get done saying? There's not one single disease or illness that the immune system, if it's properly functioning and built right when you're born, your immune system can not only prevent, but it can get rid of any and all forms of cancer and any other disease or illness that becomes part of your daily life. So we don't even have to go into cancer. First thing you have to do whenever you have a severe disease or illness, forget the drug stuff, change your diet. Because again, first things first. Why did you get breast cancer at 25 or 30 or 35, 40 years old? Well, what happened? Well, my enzymes started wearing out. I'm now 32 or 35. 38, 42, your body produces less than 50%. It did at age 15. There's the problem. Can we fix that? Yeah, your body can't produce enzymes, so start taking enzymes from an outside source, from a capsule source. We've got the best in the world under the Enriching Gifts label. That's the first thing. But you got to stop doing what compromised your immune system, which is usually 9 times out of 10, I'll even go 99 out of 100, is way too much muscle tissue. Red meat, beef, pork, chicken, turkey, lamb, those are muscle tissue meats. They will compromise your immune system faster than any other factor will. Faster than any other factor will over the age of 30. So get rid of that stuff. Cut it down to maybe 1-2 meals a week at the most. And go to juicing. Juice fresh fruits and vegetables. Increase the amount of nutrition your body is getting. Decrease the amount of calories your body is burning just to digest that food from the food source. Reduce the amount of calories expended on the digestive process and increase the amount of calories that give the body the ability to function better and heal itself. That's where we start from. So juice really good greens, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, low in sugar, real high antioxidant value, real high vitamins, all of your spinach, your kale, your asparagus, your real nutrient-dense vegetable, vitamin, mineral foods, and juice them. Just completely liquefy them. Make them into asparagus soup. It's amazing what you can throw into a good batch of asparagus as far as soup goes. I mean, you can put in, I wouldn't say whole kernel corn, but carrots, squash, zucchini. There's a lot of really nutrient-dense foods that you can make into soups, and you drink it. You don't eat it. You don't chew it. It's not got a lot of muscle tissue in it. So most of the calories you take in from those food sources, it's going to give calories to the body to function much better and heal your body with. So it's about a dietary change, and then take the enzymes, the probiotics, things that would greatly enhance the overall digestive process as well as the nutrients getting to the cells of the body to increase a higher efficiency of cellular functioning. And that's where I would recommend you go with any form of disease or illness, not just breast cancer.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep. Did that answer all you needed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions, comments, real quick?
No? I'd like to quickly touch on something, Ron. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was looking at this product. It's called Carbon 60, C60. It's supposedly an antioxidant product. Have you heard of this product?
No, and carbon just means it came from a living source.
Okay.
So it's some kind of a living source.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
I haven't heard of it. What's the basic principle of it? What's it supposed to be doing?
Yeah, so basically, I'm gonna quickly read it out here. It says Carbon 60 was first used in nanotechnology and electronics. Recently, there is interest in using Carbon 60 in medicine. Carbon 60 has been used for acne, aging skin, and other conditions. But a lot of antioxidant stuff I was reading up on it as well. But it does say there's no good scientific evidence, blah, blah, blah. So it is kind of new to market, looks like.
Well, is it a network marketing company?
No, it's not a network marketing company. The product is
okay.
And there's various people that are selling it, so it's not a product. It's not a.
Well, what is it though? Carbon. I mean, it tells me what it's used, but what is it? What's it made from?
Yeah. So, excuse my ignorance. I myself don't know right now, so I should probably look this up properly before.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I don't know, and I mean, because carbon itself doesn't even have antioxidant properties. It's like taking your body and grinding it all down to nothing but carbon.
Right.
Carbon just means it came from a living source. It was once living.
Interesting.
And I don't know why anybody would derive antioxidant properties from something that was once living, because that's normally not the case. There's no antioxidant properties in dead muscle tissue protein from a deer, a elk, a pig, a pork, a beef, or anything else. There's no antioxidant value there. It's just protein.
Interesting.
But that was once living tissue. Yeah, that was once living tissue that had carbon in the tissue cells themselves. But that's just kind of the example I go to immediately. Carbon just says it was once living. No more, no less. I'd have to know the actual source of the carbon to really see what the heck they're trying to pawn off on us all.
Okay, I'll look into it further.
Okay. All righty. Anybody else have any last minute comments, questions? Anybody? Going once, going twice. Okay, Dover, are you there? Ready to close out the call?
Can
you hear me?
Oh,
yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, I guess I was muted. Okay. I had a quick question on, you spoke earlier about if that spike protein in the vaccine, how the lymphocyte, something like that, prevents that from working. So then the question I've been asked is, what is digestive enzymes the best thing to take to counteract that if hydrochloroquine is no longer available in the Regeneron?
Well, first of all, digestive enzymes are digestive enzymes. Let me just say what they do, not trying to say, well, this is what you're going to do to get rid of this or break down and get rid of that. The digestive enzymes I have are both acid and alkaline activated. So you get a great bunch of proteases that are activated in the stomach that complete the digestion and breakdown of proteins in your foods. These are also alkaline activated proteases that are absorbed into the bloodstream. They pass and they survive the acid stomach. They are absorbed in the blood. We know they're fully active in the bloodstream because we've dyed them before, and then we've actually extracted them from the blood, interacted them with a protein source, and it broke it down. So we know it's active and even survives the acid stomach. And so what happens is all these viruses, they're just simple proteins. Remember, a virus is not living because it has no enzymes. So therefore, it can't be there's no such thing as a dead virus because there's no such thing as a living virus. They're just proteins that actually mutate, meaning they'll gather different protein profiles as they go and evolve. So viruses have no enzyme inhibiting protein markers. They're just proteins, like any other common element source or food source, even though they're not food, but they are simple proteins. So the digestive enzymes, longer you stay on them, the more you accumulate in the blood. And this accumulation takes about 6 to 9 months, to be honest with you. Because what happens first, when you first start taking our digestive enzymes, the proteins that are getting into the bloodstream as the enzymes, your immune system is destroying them. They're a foreign invader. They're a new protein. They're not part of the living body. So your immune system destroys them fairly quickly as long as they're capable, meaning the bloodstream is clean and free of any kind of immune complex proteins, such as animal flesh from your diet, which would inhibit your immune system's functioning. So as long as that stays, you'll notice a big difference in an uptick in the strengthening of your immune system after about 3 to 6 months. And by then, you've now got accumulating enzymes in the bloodstream. Every time you take enzymes, there's any left over beyond the digestive process, they're absorbed in the bloodstream, and then they're going to start accumulating and start breaking down all the funguses, all the viruses, all the anaerobic bacteria, anything that does not have an enzyme inhibiting protein marker on a cellular membrane, meaning it's part of the cellular functioning body. Anything and everything is going to be broken down by an immune system cell at that point.
So basically, if someone took the vaccine already, that's going to be one of the best things to do is take enzymes to help break that thing down, to break that protein.
Enzymes and Steromax strengthen your immune system. Remember, it's not the products that are going to do anything; it's your immune system that's going to take care of everything. Yeah,
really support that immune system, and that immune system can break down that harmful protein in the vaccine.
Yeah, and it's very strong. It's big. I mean, I'll give you some specific numbers. You know, we can increase the size of a human T lymphocyte. Now, remember, of all your immune system cells, only a T helper killer cell, which is a T lymphocyte, can actually destroy all the other infected cells of the human body, including DNA damaged cancerous cells. So we can actually increase the size of a T lymphocyte cell by as much as 3 to 5 times larger. And a larger cell membrane is going to have a lot more nucleus material to fill up that membrane, up to 400% more, in fact. And as a result of a 3 to 5 times larger cell membrane, up to a 400% increase in nucleus material within the membrane to function with, the overall efficiency of the human T lymphocyte can be elevated to up to 759% more efficient to functioning. We've done all of this already decades ago in Africa and stuff with the AIDS epidemic. And see, that's the beauty about our product line. I'm not coming up with some new fandangled carbon this and carbon that or whatever the next new thing is. I've been doing this for 30 years with this product line, and I have not changed the formulas one single iota because we created the best of the best. We spent our millions and tens of millions of dollars in our research right from the get-go. We didn't do it later on, right from the get-go. Almost all my profits for the first 10 years of my business went right back into my business and research and development. It wasn't until I really started traveling to get the word out after we actually proved it on the continent of Africa with the AIDS epidemic. Now we can prove it to anybody about anything, but it's not about curing a disease or an illness. It's strengthening the body's immune system. It's identifying all the factors that are going to inhibit the immune system's efficiency of functioning properly and optimally. That's what this product line's about. That's what this company's about. That's what I'm all about.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you're very welcome. Appreciate the question, though. Okay, Dover, I think we're ready to go ahead and close the call out for tonight.
All right, everybody have a great night. Fantastic call, Ron. Great questions, everyone. And we will be doing this call again next week, Wednesday, September 22nd. So join us. We look forward to having you here. More importantly, bring guests, bring people that that deserve, and everyone deserves it, but just deserves to be, educated by what Ron has to share with all of us. So we appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll do it again next week, same time. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Especially all those people that are living in fear of COVID these days, or the next D variant, or whatever's coming next. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great night. Appreciate you all for coming. Take care.
Thanks, Ron.
Yep. See you guys.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Questions.